Three, two, one, and it's showtime. Good morning. Welcome to the Marissa Pitts Show, streaming live every Friday at 11 a.m. PST on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and wherever else I can try to start plugging in this show. Don't forget to love, like, and subscribe right now. So that you are here, and let's go ahead and bump up those numbers. You can also catch previous episodes of MouthFul podcast streaming on Apple and Spotify. Just put in #MouthFul and you will see me. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in today. Today's guest is Tanner Davis. He is a personal trainer and what I call a fitness influencer. He has personally influenced me in my own life journey going forward, not only in being healthy and mindful, but also as a personal trainer in this career. So definitely stay tuned. You want to get your fitness tips to sculpt a toned body, resilient spirit, and indomitable will. All right, everybody, it is showtime. Welcome to Pitts Bits with Marissa Pitts. All right, let's have some fun today. 3, 2, 1. Well, it is Black History Month. It is officially February 2nd on here. And definitely, if anybody doesn't understand where Black History Month came from and why it came about, it was officially brought in 1976. But there is one person who was a proponent of this more than 100 years prior to that. So Black History Month was created to focus attention on the contributions of African Americans in the United States. It honors all Black people from all periods of U.S. history, from enslaved people first brought over in the diaspora in Africa in the early 17th century, and all the way to Africans and Black Americans living in the United States today. And that honor is given to Carter G. Wilson. So those of you, let me just go ahead and pop him up here so you see his picture. He was born in 1875. He was born to slave parents on here. Carter G. Woodson was a scholar whose dedication to celebrating the historic contributions of Black people led to the establishment of Black History Month, marked every February, as I said, since 1976. Here's a quote from him that I love. The same educational process which inspires and stimulates the oppressor with the thought that he is everything and has accomplished everything worthwhile, depresses and crushes at the same time the spark of genius in the Negro by making him feel that his race does not amount to much and never will measure up to the standards of other peoples. So yeah, I want to put that in. I always like when there's something out there historical. I really do enjoy researching it, finding out what it is, and also putting back honor onto people who have started a new movement. And as we had spoken about now, we're going to start transitioning into a lot of hopefully a better path forward in humanity going, and that always comes with turmoil. So definitely on this month, there are ways to celebrate Black History Month. It doesn't have to be just the month, but I always tell people one of the great ways is if celebrating Black-owned businesses. And there's a couple of things I came across also on ways that you can follow businesses Black-owned year-round. So you can support them by going to their apps, investing and supporting Black-owned businesses over the long haul. It's not just that one purchase, right? What are you buying monthly? Where are you going into your subscriptions? Research that. If you believe in the company morals, right, and you're also able to support somebody in the POC, that's one of the best things you can do. You follow, share, promote, order, shop with Black businesses, right, directly. You can also go through third parties on here. I'm definitely, one of the things I've fallen into in my fitness career through Fit Body. The owner, it's a franchise. The owner of it is Charles Green. Phenomenal person, amazing, right? happens to be Black also. And I'll definitely be having him on one of the episodes to learn about his life journey, right? Multi-million-dollar companies that he was running, director overseeing, and walked away to own gyms and change lives and transform, which I thought was really great. So anything you can do this month to go ahead and support. And then don't forget, March 1st, it continues. So continue to support Black-owned businesses that align with your model, what you want to do. I'm always about holistic, natural, anything we can do to continue going forward and saving the environment and saving a dollar. I'm always about that. Anyway, that is your Pits Bits for today. I'm very excited to have our guest for MouthFul, Tanner Davis. So stay tuned. We're about to bring him in. And don't forget to love, like, and subscribe now.
All right, what else? I'm just like rolling. I'm just like recording, rolling.
What a mouthful. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to MouthFul with Marissa Pitts. Please take a moment to love, like, and subscribe right now. Follow, do all the little clicks that you need to do. Today's MouthFul guest is Tanner Davis. He's a personal trainer, and I consider a fitness influencer. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Hello, Coach Tanner. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on your show, Marissa.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And also, I like to say I'm going to be starting doing a weekly and hopefully bring that in more into a daily aspect of fitness tips called Fit Tips. And you're my first fitness guest, which really makes me excited to launch this new segment with you. You know, you're a dear friend of mine and you opened up a path for me in this business. So thank you. I appreciate you so much.
No, absolutely. The feeling's mutual. The path, you walked it. I just opened the door. So it's cool to see.
Oh, I love that. Still on that. I walked it, right? You opened it. I love that. Those of you who don't know, Coach Tanner does guide individuals and groups through dynamic workouts with emphasis on injury prevention and optimal performance. Now there's a statement I went ahead and pulled up from your bio that I just really feel encompasses who you are and kind of your approach a little bit that you have. And this, you state that one of your, that your purpose, right, in training is to impact, inspire, and change lives. All right. So it's like, and I can attest to life changing because I'm one of those that you impact, inspired, and changed, especially not just in fitness, just in how I felt about myself. When we first met, I was battling severe depression. You know, I mean, I was in a COVID, right? We'll just throw COVID in there first. I've just had my child. So physically, I was not at a body place that I enjoyed, right? I was having marital difficulties on there. I was depressed. My career was halted and all of that. And I came across FitBody and it was a, fitness franchise. I was never a group fitness person, which was like, okay, only thing open. And then I met you and you had daily messages you used to give to us after the workout. So most places you go, you work out, you cool down and you leave and you go on your day. And you would always make sure yourself, Coach Austin, Tina, it was you three in that place, always had a breast, right? And I think that's where for me, it took this whole like changing life aspect. It wasn't just about, oh, you worked out, this is great. But what else are you doing spiritually? Where are you going mentally, right? So what was one of the driving forces that you felt you needed to give those messages to us?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I think for me to go back a bit, my purpose to impact, inspire, and change lives, it wasn't just for personal training, but it was also for not just personal, but for me mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, right? Like it was more finding my purpose for myself and then being able to give that and be a vessel for others. I think in the gym, first off, thanks to Charles for letting me be an outlet. A lot of times in group fitness settings, there is a lot of dynamics where there's, different settings where they don't let you do different things. So I think for him to give you the freedom to be able to be who you are, really appreciative of that, gave me a platform to speak. But a lot of times those messages, to your point, they weren't just for you guys. They were more for me, right? They were me practicing what I preach. how would I be able to say something that I'm not doing for myself? Like, why would I give advice that I'm not personally doing? So I think for me, it was always that. Like, it was always, there was a quote that always stuck with me that this changed my life. It was a book I read called Outwitting the Devil in 2018. The quote says, basically, it's by Napoleon Hill, and it says, basically, I'm trying to remember the quote. I think I got it froze up here. If you can't do anything until you look at yourself in the mirror, right? So like, I'm freezing on the quote, Marissa. I'll remember it down the road, but essentially, you can't be who you want to be until you look in the mirror to figure out who you are as a person, right? And at the time when I read that quote, I was not who I wanted to be. So I had to reevaluate self, and I think the gym was always an outlet for me to do that, right? To be able to help people figure out what they wanted to do from the beginning, and then help them get to that next point. So that's kind of the reasoning behind the messages.
Yeah. And I think that's what, when we would sit there and have those messages, right? Because you would bring out the quote, and I know what quote you're talking about, and I can't say it. I think so. I am going to repost this with the quote on top, so people can go directly to it. And it's about that. How can we? How is it that someone would listen to advice, take advice, try and change themselves if we are stuck in our own quagmire?
Oh, I remember the quote. It's no man has a chance to enjoy permanent success until you begin to look in the mirror for the real cause of all your mistakes. So it's just like, until you look in the mirror, you not figure out, like, until you evaluate who you are as self, you can't really continue on. So for me, I had to put like ego to the side and kind of take blinders off and say, okay, Tanner, like, what's next for you? So that's kind of how the journey began.
When you talk about put your ego aside, what was one thing that you realized for yourself that you wanted to work on when it came to that idea about putting the ego aside?
I think I speak of ego because, I played college baseball, and growing up in a gym in an athletic setting, a lot of times you do a lot of ego lifting. We're just trying to be someone that you're not in the gym. So I think when I say put my ego to the side, it isn't a lot of facets. Yes, it's in the gym, but also it's just me as a person. Am I able to reevaluate who I am and what I want to become? Like, can I take this like idolization of who I thought I was and just take a step back and say, okay, Tanner, like, we need to just take, like, kind of like building a Lego set, right? You don't just pull out the product. You start with one Lego at a time. So I think for me, I had to.
Why I can't build Lego? That might be why I can't build Legos. I like dump them out, and I'm like, where do I go from here?
Exactly. So I mean, for me, it was just that. I mean, to an ego point, like I had to say, okay, like, I'm not this guy that I think I am. I need to reevaluate myself and just rework on my craft, whatever that craft may be. And in this facet, it was the gym. So and myself, because to my point of baseball, like, I had to redefine who I was to be the best on the field too.
Yeah, and I love that we're going to jump into the baseball, because you did play baseball in high school and also on a collegiate level. What was one of the differences as a trainer? And we'll kind of go on to your journey on this as it continues. But when you went from high school into the college level, what were some of the things as an individual in the field of becoming wanting to be a professional and going in that direction that you had to reevaluate? So now with high school kids, you're told what to do, you show up, that's kind of it. And then college is another ballgame.
Yeah, it was.
What were some of these?
It's kind of a unique story. I actually walked on to a junior college. I played high school baseball. A lot of kids in high school want to play Division I baseball, or they think it's D1 or bust it's a phrase that's used. I walked on to my junior college, and that for me was one of the most humbling experiences because, again, this idolization of who I thought I was. I thought I was just like the greatest player ever. And here I am walking on to a place that's 10 minutes from the street or down the street from my dad's house. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned is, you earn everything. It doesn't matter how great you are. And for me, the best piece of advice I ever got was the first 10 minutes I've met the head coach. He sat me down. I'm this long, hair kid, looks like I, do skateboarding every weekend. And he looks me in my face and tells me that I'll never play there. He said, but I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance to walk on. He said, but you'll never play, and here's why. He gave me the starting roster, like the starting team, whatever. Well, I ended up making the team, and I played a lot. Started a lot my sophomore year. My freshman year, I just played more like a sixth man of a basketball team, but on the baseball team. But in that moment, he doubted me. So for me, I learned that I can accomplish anything I want because I'm going to work harder than you. Work harder than you in the weight room. I'm going to work harder than you in the classroom, and I'm going to work harder than you on the field. And honestly, Marissa, being around better competition makes you better, right? Iron sharpens iron. In high school, you're around, if you're the best player in high school, which, for me, we had a couple guys on our team. I would say I was like top 3 on our team. And then when you get to college, everyone's great. Like everyone's good. You don't have to motivate people in college. You have to motivate people in high school. So when I got in college, everyone wants to be the best of the best because they're trying to play professional baseball or they're trying to go from junior college to Division I. So everyone's out there for something to prove. And for me, I think, the cream just rises to the crop, right? So like we always push each other in the gym, in the classroom. We got pumped up to take tests in class. We got pumped up to work out. We got pumped up to practice. And the best piece of advice for me was I got doubted. And it made me who I am today because it made my work ethic that much better. Just made me realize that, okay, this is not going to be handed to me like it was in high school. Like I was going to play every day there. I got to earn this. So that's kind of, I guess, to your point, that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah. Okay. And which is great. Thank you. Because I like the idea about it's actually healthy to be doubted. It's actually healthy in a way to have someone not just give you what we want, but sometimes that strive and that go forward. And you are a brand new dad in here, right? And I think and congratulations to little baby Halo's a beautiful, beautiful. Are those some of the things that you're going to look at trying to help instill within her, but in a healthy setting? Because I think it's, I'm a parent too. It's important that, when I was growing up, I come from a athletic family. My dad played pro football, pro rugby. So that whole thing, like, sorry, you might not be good enough, like, was really a thing in our household. And then and it made me want to be better. Sometimes healthy, sometimes not. But we come from different generations. What are you looking to kind of install in Halo and other kids? I know you do also work with people who were in high school, transitioned into college sports. What were the things that you look into where we can give motivation and hope, but not also just hand them the world, because then we don't work as hard?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-part question. I think, one to Halo and then one to high school or upcoming college kids. I think for my daughter, I just want to be a vessel. I want to be an outlet for her to, ask questions. I'm not pushing her to do anything. Whatever she wants, she can do. That's my job, not to push her in a direction. My job is to make sure that whatever direction she goes, I can help her be the best. So that would be my answer to that question. For high school kids that are specific to sports or college kids, my biggest thing is just having the realistic conversation, right? What's your goals? How are we going to get there? And then breaking it down. I think a lot of times for kids, they futuristically project. So they think about the bigger picture, but they don't think about how to get there. So a lot of times I think it's just, I guess you could say, deciphering it, but just simplifying everything. I'm a big person of big proponent of making everything easy, making everything cookie cutter. The harder you make it, the harder it's going to be. So that's just one thing I like to drill down with kids that I work with in baseball. I've worked with a couple, softball girls as well, but I just try to simplify everything and make it to where it's progressive in what they do in their day-to-day.
Yeah, a doable action plan.
Yeah,
right. It's hard to okay, this is where I want to be and this is what I have to have, but then not realizing the latter steps that are actionable.
Yeah.
Go forward. I like that. Thank you. I know you're also an injury prevention specialist too. When you do your training, it's actually huge. When I started training with you all, I had really bad scoliosis.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hold a plank for more than 5 seconds, like legitimately, right? I can do 5 minutes. It's rough, but I could do it. I couldn't do leg lifts, right? there were so many things that I couldn't do physically. And one of the things, and it was a push-up too. I could not do a push-up. And I just remember this advice you'd given me one time about I'll never be able to do a push-up if I stay on my knees always.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually think I can do a push-up, right? And you're like, just hold a plank and do a little tiny pulse. And then from that little tiny pulse, maybe it's a little bigger. And then from there, maybe get a little longer, right? And then if it's just and I remember I did 10 push-ups one day and I cried. You weren't there, but Coach Austin was. And I remember crying because I had never done a push-up in my life, and I did 10, and it was your advice of these actionable steps I could take. It wasn't just like, you can do it, Marissa, just do it. Because like literally couldn't. Like I physically couldn't. My muscle strength, I didn't have it, didn't have form. And you worked with me on form so I could do a push-up without hurting myself. Right.
Yeah.
And when you got into looking at prevention, you did suffer a career-changing injury in baseball on there. Was that what kind of, I want to go into that story with you in a second, but was what was prompted you to looking at trying to help people to prevent injuries? Is there something you might have done to prevent your career-changing injury that you had?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. You know, the reason I quit playing baseball is I had an injury in the gym doing deadlifts.
Oh, it was in the field? Oh, I thought it was the field.
So I was actually,
wow, okay.
I was in the fall of my senior year of college. And I was in the off season, like in the fall, doing deadlifts in our rec center up in Auburn and Montgomery. And I got hurt trying to ego lift, just trying to push myself. I was doing what I thought, or what I knew at the time. Obviously, looking back now, you hear a lot of people say, if I knew what I knew then, or if I knew what I knew now then, right? You know, at the time I thought I was doing the right thing. And, you know, I got hurt and I had a herniated disc in my L5. But it wasn't just the herniated disc that was like, that's not a major issue because it's not like, you know, ruptured or anything like that. But it set me back for about 3 months. But then I had multiple hamstring tears that year, which pretty much just took my career out. Looking back, you know, now to then, there's a lot I could have done to prevent it, which is why, and to your point, it did make me want to get into training to help people that are, I wouldn't say uneducated, but are just doing things the wrong way. Everyone's in a different space. Everyone's in a different, you know, setting when they train. You got some people that come are just starting and some people that are really advanced. So there's always different routines for different people. But yeah, I think for me, the injury did make me lead into, hey, like, how can I help prevent this in the future? And I don't even lift the same anymore. Every year for me, I feel like I evolve. I feel like I'm always ever changing myself. And it's just small things for me now. But, you know, looking back then, there was a lot that needed to change for 19, 20-year-old Tanner.
Yeah. I think we can all attest to that in like all parts of our life. We look back like, oh, if I would have done now when I knew that, right? Or knew then when I know now.
But also, I was just say, sorry, one thing I missed was, you know, when I played college baseball, we didn't have some of the resources that are out there now. So I think, you know, I didn't have like my own coach that was coaching me. I was just kind of doing my own lift. Whereas now you probably couldn't do that. But yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, that is recognized, because usually when it's off season, right? I had some friends that played before. You were just off. You're on your own. Like stay in shape. Don't screw up. I'll see you next season, next year, right?
Yeah.
And now there's more of a continuation of, you're going to train all year with us, with people we know, people we trust, not to have the injuries. Because it does come down to injury prevention. What advice do you have for people who are scared to start coming into a gym? I mean, I'm not talking about walking into the Planet Fitness, get on your cardio machine and like I'm talking about walking into a gym where there's weights. There are machines that we don't know about. Machines are scary. I remember when I first walked in, I was like, what's this diagram? What am I supposed to do? And I'm like, am I doing it right? So what advice do you have people who are scared to take the first step?
Yeah, I mean, my advice for people that are just getting started is find out what works for you. You know, try different, like make yourself uncomfortable, like be comfortable being uncomfortable, but that's really hard to overcome, like the intimidation and anxiety of gym. That's one of the biggest things to hurdle as a first-time gym goer. I think essentially when you walk into a gym and you don't feel comfortable at a big box gym, then identify that, right? It goes back to the quote I said at the beginning, look at yourself in the mirror, identify that. And once you identify that, maybe it's trying a 4-on-1 class. Maybe you're not comfortable with a 1-on-1 personal training setting. Maybe that makes you a little uncomfortable and there's too much attention on you. So maybe you do a 4-on-1, and that doesn't work. Then maybe you do a group class and you're like, okay, like the attention's not really on me as much. the coach has high energy. They're helping me with my form. It's a nice setting with music, and the workout's doable. Like, maybe that's it. But I think with me saying that, like, you have to overcome intimidation and anxiety. You have to set realistic goals for yourself. And I think having a conversation with someone that can help you do that is very vital. You have to understand like the basic like safety guidelines, which, to your point about injury prevention, it goes to having like the right people in the place you're at. So if you have the right coach that is, paying attention to that, because you got to think like this is an investment for yourself. So if you invest your money into a gym or a personal trainer or a 4-on-1 class, whatever it may be, making sure that that person matches who you are, and then identifying if they don't match and being able to walk away from that. Yeah, I would say that. And then obviously within that, building consistency and developing a routine on top of that. Right. So I would say that would be my advice to like first time gym goers. Like, if you're scared of the machines, if you're scared of the equipment, and you walk into an LA Fitness, you're like, this is too overwhelming, simplify it. Go online, look at, a group class, look at something that makes sense for you. Don't feel like you have to be overwhelmed and that's your only option. There's so many options out there. It's on you to figure out what works best. But I think you have to set a realistic goal within that. And the biggest piece of advice, or the greatest ability we have of all time, is the ability to take action. So I think you have to start somewhere, right? If you stay idle, you'll be idle. You have to just keep moving.
Ooh, I like that. You stay idle, you'll be idle. Ooh, always dropping these little like quote nuggets. This is one reason why I love you so much. What are some of the most common hurdles that you hear from clients in their fitness journey? Like, what are some of the things that people come to you and say, this, my body fat's not changing, or, like, I can't do this. Like, what are the things that you hear that is the most common? And then what are some tips to kind of overcome those hurdles?
Yeah, great question. I think it's different for different people, right? I think one of the most common things you hear in like a group setting or a group class, group classes are, they have like an in-body or different scale metrics that people are kind of using to see these metrics. I think having the proper conversation to go over an in-body is key first off. But I think a lot of times I hear people they don't see a number move. And a lot of times they focus just on weight. When you focus just on weight, that's the only thing you see. And it kind of messes with your mind a little bit, because that's the only number you're going to ever see. But you got to look at the non-scale victories is one of the biggest things I always preached. How are you feeling? Do you have more energy? Do you feel like you're getting a little stronger? Like, some of these non-scale victories are key. But again, the biggest thing I always would hear was, my weight's not going up or down. My muscle mass is the same. My body fat's not dropping. But all that's fine. I think the biggest key to talking with someone about that stuff is just educating them on those three things, the weight, the body fat, and the muscle mass, and how they can progress. Again, it's like talking to the kids. How do you simplify everything? You also have to do that with clients. You have to let them know that, hey, this is a long-term play. The gym is not overnight. You can't just come in here, do one plank, and then you'll do 10 push-ups tomorrow, right, Marissa? Like, it's a long-term play. Yeah. For me, I've been doing it for.
I wish it did.
I've been doing it for 12 years, and I can say there's stuff I still learn every day. There's different movements that I learn every day, and there's always different things to learn. So I think the ability to have the right conversations, you can't just come into the gym, work out, leave, and do that every day, and you'll have some progress. But I think having proper conversation and setting realistic goals is how you really take the next step. And I think it happens with different people, right? So you might have Miss Jones, who just started day one. She has anxiety. She's scared of the gym. In a month, if she continues to work out, she might be the most confident person in the world, right? But then in a year, she might want to have a conversation about how she can gain more muscle mass. And then in 2 years, that's just kind of how it goes. That's the domino, right? I think those are the biggest three always, but it's always different, because I have, athletes that I talk to that their goals are way different, right? Than Miss Jones, who is 45 years old. She's just starting out her gym career. She's never been in before, never touched a weight. She has 3 kids. So there's some different things we need to talk about there. So that's kind of how it always goes.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's interesting to talk about the in body. I have to catch my clients walking out the door with the paper folded up small, like creeping out the door because they don't want me to see. And I'm always like, "Give me those numbers." And I try to explain to them, like you said, like properly breaking down what an in body is and our
Mhm.
journey. People don't realize you can only grow so much muscle to heal and shrink. And if muscle shrinks and your body fat naturally will normally come up unless you're eating major clean, right? That's how we get weight
Yeah.
down. You know what I mean? And so it's like trying to say, like, focus on where the progress is, the small doable step, and then the one small change if we're not seeing the results in a certain way. But not just look at the weight, because every single time they're like, but my weight's not gone down, but my weight's not gone down, or my weight down a little bit, but my body fat went up. And I'm like, these are what these are called.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you not every trainer does, unfortunately, have the understanding of what a biomatrix is, right? And understanding what does that mean within our 3-week cycle within our body mass and stuff like that. And you really helped me a lot understand my numbers so I could then take that to, when I became a fitness coach. And I just want to, another thank you in my path that you set up for me. One of the things I hear a lot about for myself, and I came across this article. I sent you the article, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
It was from Time Magazine on here. And I find this fascinating because one of the things I get from a lot of people is I just don't want to go to the gym. This is so hard.
Mhm.
I'm tired. I don't want to wake up. I got to get kids, right? And I have those same excuses on here. And I came across this Time Magazine. Oh, back up, come back up. And it was Your Brain Doesn't Want You to Exercise. Here's How to Outsmart It by Jamie DeCarme. So one of the things I really liked about this article, because I came across, I was like, what do you mean my brain doesn't want me to work out? You know what I mean? Like, I have all these benefits. I feel good. I look fabulous. My pants fit better. Why would my brain want to hold it across? And there was this quote from he's a a human evolutionary biologist. Oh, it's a big mouthful. And inside the article, he quotes, "We are biologically wired to conserve energy for when movement was either necessary or pleasurable." And I think kind of on that take on here is understanding that only 5% of Americans work out. 5%.
Mhm.
I had to double check that statistic quite a few times because I was like, that's impossible. There's no way only 5% of Americans work out. And in that statistic, they're saying they're not counting people who have physical labor jobs, right? Who go snowboarding, surfing, like all these pleasurable activities, but walking into a gym day in, day out, with the rest periods and with the grind and just saying, I have to do it. I have to do it. What are your thoughts on that statement? Do you think it's true? Do you think we're genetically wired to like not want to go lift some weights and sit around? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I wouldn't say genetically wired. I would say everyone's different. I would say for me, like I would say 90% of the time, I don't even want to go work out. So like if that helps you at all. So I think I think for me personally, that my take on it is of course there's always people that have financial barriers and like these other areas of life that they like, feel like they don't have time management. So like I think that article did a good job of breaking down. I guess you could say the strategies to overcome those barriers, like starting small and reframing exercise or building some confidence, like or in daily routines. We're creatures of habit. So I thought that article did a great job. Marissa, I know you linked it, but I think people, if they wanted to take a look, it could help you start small. But for me, I mean, even myself, even this morning, I didn't want to go work out. So I do it. I do it because I understand the long-term play. It's kind of like an investment, right? Like you don't invest money that you feel like you're going to return like the next day. Like it's a long-term play. And I think for me, I understand that. And for people that are just starting out, they may not. And they might, have that barrier like, man, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Because in my mind, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'll just, maybe I'll sleep in and I can do that lift tomorrow. And then for me, I lost if I do that. So like, I need to, reframe that and go ahead and eat the big frog, right? Like wake up and do the things I don't like to do. I hate to run, but I do that a lot too because I hate it. So like in my mind, I'm like, I know I'll feel better after. but that's
on
just,
my to-do list, by the way.
yeah.
That's on my
So
to-do list. I'm like, oh,
I think it's just for me, it's just, and for anyone, you know, out there listening, or for just people in general, it's finding what not necessarily works for you, but things that make you uncomfortable that you know you can do. Because I always look at it like this: I don't want to take for granted that I can go outside and go for a run and breathe fresh air and stretch my legs out. And you know, there's a lot of people that wish they could do that. So for me, I try to put it in perspective like that, knowing that I'm blessed to be able to do that. I'm blessed to be able to go into the gym and have the knowledge to curate and do my own thing. So for me, like I said in the very beginning, it's just being a vessel, being able to use what God's given me, and which honestly the best part is me being able to speak, but just use what He's given me and be able to you know, give that to others and impact, inspire, and change lives in whatever facet that may be. But yeah, that would be. I would agree to the article. I think the 5% number is crazy. By the way, I think that's
yeah,
insane.
I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
triple looked it up. I triple looked it up. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
That must be like 55. They forgot the 5.
Yeah,
No, it's 5%.
the double
I always tell
take
people, like,
is real.
congrats. Yeah, and I think there's one thing that you used to tell us as a class. It's 29 days to break a habit, and it's 90 days to start making it a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was those idea that, you know, because we, like you said, we are creatures of habit, right? And that it's one of those things that if you, to break the habit's the hard part. We don't know if a habit is good or bad. Like, our body just thinks this is what's keeping us alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? That driving to work the same way, and you're not going to work one day, next thing you find yourself at work. You're like, no, I wasn't supposed to go there. And I just think that idea that you said is find the motivation and the love of the doing aspect, right? And where we get out, like, you know, lifting heavier one day, or not losing on that day, in that sense about just laying around, and also having grace,
Yeah.
right? Having the grace and the empathy. Not every day is going to be a quote win, and that's okay if the next day we're back on the horse.
Yeah.
The next day we're back going forward. And those are just small things. You probably don't even remember all this advice you used to like tell us, but I do. That's how impactful you were to me.
I have it written down. I have a notebook with everything I've ever like shared. Or
can you turn that into a book?
I don't know.
I'm dead serious. I think you should. I think the you know, you have your to inspire, impact, and change lives. There's your title. You just go ahead and print that book up. You send me a first copy signed, so I have it always, and I can reference it in mine. So please write a book, Tanner.
Yeah, maybe I'll look into it as a future endeavor. But to your point, one of the I think the motivation thing, since then I've learned that I don't want to offend anyone when I say this, but you know, motivation is essentially crap, right? Like it comes and goes in waves. So you get motivated, and then you get unmotivated. And once you get motivated, it's like you get on fire, or like, let's just say I fire you up, you're motivated, and then all of a sudden, you know, you lose that. So I think getting dedicated to something, you know, dedicate yourself to coming to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. Like, that's a dedication. Like, you know, you're going to do that. That's not a motivation, right? A motivation would be being you, like firing you up to do something, you know, more or better. So that would be my take on motivation as opposed to dedication. I don't know if I lost you.
Tanner, are you back? Hello. All right, there you are.
You had left.
I had left. I'm having the worst internet connection, so I want to just go back, and I'll fix this in the edit. Let me change my face. I'm like, you switched each other. Like, come back. Anyway, hold on one second. And then, oh, you're gonna be on my left side now. Okay. So I'm just gonna go back before I disconnected. You said the motivation is essentially crap.
Yeah, I shared. I was still sharing. I was like sharing to myself. I was like,
well, you're actually sharing to our listening audience too, but this is, I didn't hear it. So
okay. Yeah, for you, I mean, I was just saying that motivation, the reason I was saying it's crap is not to offend anybody, but you know, it's easy to get motivated. It's easy for me to be like, come on, Marissa, 5 more reps. Like, I'm screaming at your face, but
Yeah.
I think being able to understand how to be like dedicated, like knowing that you don't when that person's not in your ear and that person's not in your face, what are you going to do then, right? Like that's the dedication aspect of it. So like, are you dedicated to coming 4 to 5 times a week, or are you motivated to come 4 to 5 times a week? Like, so it's a little bit different. When you're dedicated, you're going to do it, no questions asked. So like, there was this old like phrase or analogy, like in a book, like a runner who runs every day. Like if he runs outside and he's motivated and one day it's raining, he's going to open the door and close it because it's raining, right? He's only motivated. But if he's dedicated, he'll close the door, grab his raincoat, come back out and run no matter what the circumstance. So like understanding like the difference between motivation and dedication. Motivation is great. And some people need it at certain times because they might be going through a really tough day. I understand that. But understanding that when you become dedicated, it's like levels to it, right? Like it's like you graduated. So you graduate from the motivation side to dedication. So that's why I say motivation is crap, because it comes and goes in waves. So when it leaves, then who are you, right? When the lights turn off, who are you, right? So that's the biggest thing, is figuring out that difference.
Yeah, and I love that, because I think that's that's a doable. It's hard to say I don't have motivation and try and find that and lean into it, but if you have a routine, a consistency, that's a doable action. Motivation isn't
Yeah.
doable. Like it's just there, like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, I'm glad you have it. Nice. And then I know you have to go, and I like to pick your brain on this stuff too. For those of us in the field of personal training that are looking at possibly branching off and having our own gym and starting off, you are very, very, very knowledgeable in the business aspects. One of the things that are pretty great. Is there any advice you can give to personal trainers who are looking at trying to open up their own stuff, but might not necessarily have the capital behind it, or what does that capital might look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing. I mean, for just to give people background, like I don't personally own an old gym, so
No.
take this for what it is.
Mhm.
I think it's doing your due diligence, looking into particular research. If you want to go into a franchise, look into your different options, like what it costs to get there, what it costs to have in the bank. Figuring out your burn rates. I think all these are very key. But I think one of the biggest facets to all of it, and I've kind of touched on this in every different phase of what I've said today, is having the proper perspective, the proper guidance, making sure you've talked with other gym owners. Hey, what's the good and bads of this? Like, how long have you had this place? Like, what's some of the things that you really like within this place, right? So, like, I think being knowledgeable and being educated in this space is different, right? Because you have some gym owners who open gyms purely because they had capital, not necessarily because they love gyms. So like maybe they saw it as an investment, and that's okay. But there you got some of these personal trainers who are in the space, and what I come to find and realize is when you're in the space, you feel like you can do it better. And when you feel like you can do it better, that gives you the motivation to feel like you can own your own gym. But then once you start to do your research and education, there is a lot more that comes into it. There's a lot more into it that you don't realize when you're actually working in the space. So I think just having the proper questions, the proper perspective, making sure you have someone you can like have that dialogue with, is very key. I'm not saying I have all the answers, because I don't, but I've talked with multiple gym owners. I've done my own research and due diligence, and I think it could be right for certain people. That would be my advice to personal trainers. Like if you feel like you can do it better, do your research.
Yeah.
Come up with your own proposal on how you can do it better. Figure out all your numbers. Figure out what cost would it take you to get there. That would be my answer. I can't just give you a black and white answer on it, because again, I don't have a gym, so I couldn't tell you. But I could tell you that I've done the research and I've done the due diligence on it.
And that's what I care more about, because you can own a gym. Oh, we got all kind of comments popping in. Another Lillian fan. Hi, Marissa. Hi, Tanner. Hi, Jolene. Jolene had said earlier.
I think you paused again.
Am I back? All right. I think I'm back.
Yeah,
Now
you
you're back.
paused again.
So, So that's a problem with live is good old internet at 11:30 in the afternoon. That was Lillian just saying hi to all of us. We have Jill Lynn who had said Tanner is. So these pop up as they write. Tanner's amazing,
Yeah.
inspirational. So thank you all for listening on here. And the reason why I brought that up, like I know you're not a gym owner, right? But I know that one of the things, the reason why I asked you that and knowing you're not is because you have this idea of saying, look, if I want something in life, if I want to go forward, if I think I can do things better, where do I start? Where's the research, right? And making sure to do the research. Because if you just go to the first place that wants to say, hey, give me $80,000, you'll have a gym. Cool, you give $80,000, but then what? If you don't already have a plan of how you're getting your clients, how you're getting the personal trainers under you, how are you going to be on the floor? Are you going to be gone, right? So that's one reason why I asked. I really wanted to ask you because I have picked your brain before about that, and you had given me, like I said, great advice on stuff I could look for if I wanted to. I mean, right now, Charles, I'm happy. I'm not trying to leave. If my boss is listening, I'm very happy where I'm at. But there's always that idea about, but then what, right? Being our own business owner within our field is always a goal, I think, for most of us, which is great. Tanner, where can do you have any, actually before I have to find you, do you have any other fit tip advice for people possibly trying to go forward, or whether it's nutrition? I know that people struggle in the kitchen sometimes. What advice do you have for people who are just like, anything, any fit tip advice before I let you out of here?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I think if you could sum everything I've set up today and I could give it into a fit tip, I would say don't be so hard on yourself. Start somewhere and make it simple. Like those, I mean, it's very simple. Like there's nothing about the gym that's sexy. There's nothing about the gym that is supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be like the craziest workout ever. What it's supposed to be is supposed to be something that can help you be a better everyday person of yourself, right? So again, just make it simple, give yourself grace, and start somewhere. I think that's the biggest key. That's the biggest tip of advice I could give to any and everyone, not just someone who's just starting, but also someone who's been in it for a while. Because a lot of times people have been in it for a while, they like to overcomplicate it. Just simplify it.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much. And where can our listening audience find you if they want to follow you on any of your socials or get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can follow me at tdavis03 on Instagram, and then I'm not really on Facebook, but
I don't think any of us are anymore.
Yeah, if you need to contact me, you could reach out to me on there, and we can discuss further.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tanner. I just bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for kicking off my very first fit tip segment that I'm going to start doing, promoting forward. And as my mouthful guest on here, dropping those pearls of wisdom. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you. So
yeah, thanks for having me and trusting me to be on your show. Really excited about it.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk with you later.
All right, you too. See ya.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you so much for staying on. That was Tanner Davis, our personal trainer and fitness influencer. Stay tuned because there is more left on the Marissa Pitts Show. And don't forget, love, like, and subscribe.
Know your future with Mystic Marissa. 3, 2, 1.
All right. Love it. So hello, this is Marissa Pitts with your Mystic Marissa weekly horoscope on here. So as y'all know, I just like to have fun. I look at the stars. Do I necessarily live by them every day? No, I'm too busy. I work too much, but I know they fall every time. Lost you all here. Might have Reconnecting. Do, do, do. Love internet. All right. Well, I'll just have to go ahead and just start forward and read on. All right, I don't even know if I'm on. All right, well, I'm just going to call it a day. I'll post this up because this is typical of internet. I just love it. Oh, maybe I'm going. Okay, yay! I'm back on. Let me see if I can do this before it cuts back off. All right, well, welcome to Mystic Marissa, where I give you your weekly astrological news. Let's get this going before this internet cuts off again. Anyway, so last week we were coming off of Leo's full moon, all right, on here. And this week it was a reflection week. So last week there wasn't much to talk about, not too many things happening on here. We were just supposed to reflect, process, where are we going in 2024? What do we want? What's happening on here? Mars is still in Capricorn, and this is where the action planet has the resilience and efficiency to get it all done. So once again, actionable steps. What are you taking to get 2024 where you want it to be? So we don't end up like 2023 being like, dang, the year's already over and this is it. Anyway, so just this whole weekend, like I said, action plan, get it together. Where do you need to go? What do you need to do? Rest and relax. I am overworked way too much, especially this last week. I did a 17-hour shift at the gym, 17 hours by myself. It was hardcore, gnarly, and I don't ever want to do that again. And I know I'll probably have to one day. That's just what happens. You got to cover, make sure people getting their workout in. And I was luckily to be there, but it was rough. So this weekend, take it, relax, get it together, because on Monday the 5th, Mercury is conjoining. Where do I have my Mercury on here? Mercury is conjoining with Pluto right on here. Pluto is an aspect that probes and investigates. And check this out. Bam, bam. The last time that Pluto was conjoined in with Mercury in Aquarius was 300 years ago. That's right. The last time this little conjoining happened, right? This little threesome, 300 years ago. Yeah. So what that means, what does that mean? What happened 300 years ago? Where am I going with all of this? Okay. It is important to pay attention to what's happening on your personal and collective level. Collective, the group, our society, our culture, where we are, right? Ultra important. Okay. It's important to pay attention to what's happening. Like I said, for personal growth, collective evolution. If you have a core belief where you want to see your culture go, your society, stuff like that, go ahead and implement it. Go forward with it. Be a vocal voice, right? Go volunteer. This is what that's saying. We're really set up right now to make a change as humanity, right? Going forward in our future, right? I for me, for sure, want to see less wars. I want to see a better economy. I want to see more equality. I want to see more diversity. There's a lot of things that I want to see, and I need to make sure I'm incorporating that in my work also, and that I'm incorporating that in my personal life for the collective growth, because this is ultra important. As we're in the age of Aquarius, it kicked off 2 weeks ago officially, right? Age of Aquarius, 20 years, Pluto's going to be here. So the next 2 decades, we're going to see a lot of upheaval, a lot of change, and hopefully we are all going for the better change. Change can be good or bad, kind of up to us how we decide, right? And this little trine is pushing us to be better. It's pushing us to be better, which is the best part about it. Okay. We do definitely on the 7th and 8th, the Sun and Venus do connect in Uranus, a little party dancing. It is time to take opportunities, give you the will to take the risk. That's right. You don't be shy. You've been meditating, you've been thinking, you've been action planning, right? You got all the cosmos together right now to get it in place for you. Okay. It is time to start implementing what you wrote down. What was step 1? Do step 1. When step 1 is done, do step 2. Okay. And then if step 2 is done and maybe it changes, remember, we have to be flexible in our plans. We got to be flexible. Do the next step. and continue forward. Everything is set up next week to open a door. A door is going to be open for you. That's right. A door is going to be open. It's February. By the end of February, a door is going to open, and I want to hear about it. And if a door didn't open, what happened? Did you not do your plan? Did you not do your plan? Did you not trust the process, right? Same thing, faith in God, faith in your religion you have, right? That is all the same thing of trusting that if you do the work, a result will happen. An action comes out of actionable plans. It is, okay? And like I said, if you sit around idle, or as I said, as Tanner said, you sit around idle, only idleness happens, right? So get out there, do what needs to be done, and in small bites. Don't get overwhelmed. Take it slow, take it easy. Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of it. Thank you for your tuning in for the Marissa Pitts Show. I want to once again thank Tanner Davis for coming on this week. You can always find him. Instagram is one of the best places to find him. It is at T_Davis03. Follow him, pick his brain. He is one of my mentors. He got me into this field. He was one of the 3 people that got me into this field. I've long talks with him. So definitely hit him up, like him, follow. And if you have not liked, loved, and subscribed to the Marissa Pitts Show, do it now. I'd love to see you. And also feel free to comment when we are live. Comment, they do come up. It does post. I love to have a lot of interactions. If you have questions for the guest, give us questions, comment, right? I want to hear your voice also. It's uber important for me. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Remember, relax, meditate, restore. That's this weekend. Get ready for your opportunity later in the month. And once again, it is Black History Month. So please find that local Black owned and supported business, buy and subscribe, follow, continue with them. If you have anyone that you know in any of our communities out here that you would like to promote and have it, please send to me DM and I will post it out there and check it out also. So once again, thank you so much for listening to the Marissa Pitts Show. I will see you next week. We have another fitness guest. I'm so excited, right? So we have another coach coming on next week. Martin, he's going to be here, Coach Martin. And so tune in for next week. All right. We're going to pick his brain. He is a bodybuilder on here. He knows how to manipulate his physique. I follow him all the time because I'm just like, what are you doing, homie? How do I get my body back down? He's fabulous. So definitely tune in for that. And I will see you all next week live every Friday, 11 a.m. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Ciao. Mwah.
If you like what you heard today, make sure you like, love, and subscribe. We are on all the socials at Marissa Pitts Show. Till next time. Mwah. Ciao.